Well, hi everyone and welcome to maybe the first proper video on this channel. I've kind of had a staggered start to this channel. I really wanted to do it and I couldn't decide on what it was going to be about. Was it going to be about my move to Scotland? Was it going to be about my attempts at writing a book, or just settling in, or just nattering on about life? And I decided to go with that side of YouTube advice that says just get started, and then there's the other side who say don't get started until you know what your niche is. And I'm like, I'm the opposite of a niche. My character is on the other end of the spectrum of where people can niche or pigeonhole themselves, because I'm a jack of so many trades. I'm so scatty and scattered. And I've been trying to kind of put my resume together, my CV together in these last few days. And I was like, if I were the person to pick that piece of paper up, I'd be like, girl, what have you been doing? Have you had any focus at all? Or like any guidelines about what you are doing with your life? Because it's so diverse, but maybe in a way that looks a little bit unguided, hopefully not misguided, but a bit like hopping from one lily pad to another. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I've enjoyed most of the jobs I've had in my life. So yeah, I thought I'd just start with a video that introduces me and maybe sets some mild guidelines that we'll try to stick to, and then we'll see whether it works out that way or not. So I do hope that the channel eventually is going to be focusing a lot, if not exclusively, no, it's not going to be exclusive, but a lot on books and literature. I have a very complex relationship with books, which many of you might not be interested in, well, most of you, because you don't know me yet. I have been writing on and off for the better part of my life. I did a master's in theatre, and my dissertation was a play that did get like a rehearsed reading in London. And since then I have written very sporadically, very only when I felt the inspiration to, and the outcome has always been good. The feedback, the results have been very good, and on most of those occasions people have been trying to push me further. I've been approached to do like a larger version of what I've written, or a movie script, and I've always been a bit like, I want to keep this as a hobby, because I'm aware that there's something in my subconscious where as soon as I associate a certain thing with profession, with work, it takes the play out of it. I don't enjoy it anymore. I start trying to tick the boxes that I know the industry requires, or that the trends are, or that the client or whoever's commissioned it wants, and it really shuts down something in me, which is the original reason to even try and write something. So I've been kind of trying to keep it as a sacred space, if you like, a space that doesn't allow commerce into it. And maybe I've shot myself in the foot with that approach more than once. So yeah, I've been mainly involved over the past 16, why do I know that number, years in theatre. I've been, as I said, a jack of many trades. I've created a lot of content, a lot of promotional material. I've directed shows, I've acted a little bit, really didn't like it. And yeah, so I've done a lot of things like trailers and promotional material and dramaturgy. So I've kind of edited and reviewed other people's work, and just been in a dialogue with them to see how they think they might make it better, that kind of thing. So I do like playing with words and working with words, but there is just something, and it probably all comes down to not being ready or being scared of exposing a certain part of myself, where my relationship with books has stayed in this intimate, very closed down space. And then not that long ago, I have been better at reading recently, because reading is also something my mum taught me to read when I was very young, and in my subconscious there's this notion that reading is a job, it's a chore to do before you're allowed to, go out and play, which we did when I was young. I'm I'm a bit older now, as you can tell. So when I was young, that's what the reward was. You could go out and play, you could, I don't know, eat your crisps or read comic books rather than proper prose, or so you have to read this and that many pages. And even now, when I pick up a book that I know I will really love, I still do this thing where I check how many pages I read, and I have this satisfying feeling. It's like, oh, good girl, I've done a good job, I get to go out and play soon. And then I'm like, hold on, why am I doing that? Once I get to the end of the book, I'll be doing the opposite of that and be like, I can't believe there's only 20 pages left, and what will my life be about when that book is over, now that I'm so invested in it. So yeah, long story short, I'm not good at doing short stories. Long story short though, I'm ready to take a leap into the world of books a little bit more, maybe do a couple of book reviews. I hate negative book reviews. Like, if you hate a book, unless it's really damaging to the society, maybe, I don't know, maybe don't do a book review. I think there are so many kind of clickbaity, aggressive booktubers out there, which I've discovered in the last half a year maybe, where it's all about their rage against what's been written. And I'm like, it's art. At the end of the day, it's art. And if there's demand, if there's people who want to read that, that really should be a space where we allow our shadow to play out, where we allow, things that are not maybe extremely socially acceptable or celebrated. We allow those things to play out. It's supposed to be cathartic. It's supposed to be the big carnival where you bring your demons to light and you dance with them. So yeah, I'll try and be kind with sharing my impressions of books. And hopefully I will also share a bit of my writing process, because fingers crossed, let's hope I do actually get down to writing something. I've written a few things, as I said. I'm kind of over halfway through a novel which I now don't want to write anymore because I'm bored of it. I kind of know what's happening. I know what's going to happen at the end, and I'm like, I can't be asked to articulate it. I know, like, so it's almost like I've written it for myself. But of course, it is an exercise in patience. If I have any aspiration on finishing a novel or writing another one, I better crack on with finishing the one I'm doing right now. And that one I think I'll publish under a pseudonym. It's like a historical romance novel. I thought I'd try an easy genre, and I like that whole story of how Diana Gabaldon wrote Outlander just for practice, just giving herself this assignment to see if she can research a novel, obviously at a time when she had to go to a library and couldn't just do a Google search or ask ChatGPT to do the research for her. Not going to do that. I love being at libraries. One of the things I miss the most about London, so I moved from London to Scotland, as you may have seen from my previous videos, just last month, and the one thing that I'm like, I maybe didn't see myself missing as much as I do is going to Morn Library on Chancery Lane, which is the library of London University, King's College London, that I graduated many moons ago. But as an alumna, I'm allowed to access their resources and the amazing space there. And that's my little Hogwarts. And yeah, not being able to go in there is a little bit heartbreaking, but I'm sure I'll find something equivalent in Edinburgh or Glasgow. So I live kind of between the two at the moment, in a very sleepy, quiet, peaceful village. You can expect some footage of my walks around here as well. So this is kind of a bit of a mumbly-jumbly video, because I was like, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Yeah, the story I started and completely lost my train of thought was that recently I got together with a friend of mine for a cup of coffee, and she had always been a proper bookworm. She reads, like, her books, the books she reads a year are nearing like in triple digits. Whereas I've always been a bit of a sloppy reader for reasons I've just explained. And but there's this misconception about my character. People always have assumed that I'm a bookworm and that I read a lot. And at some point, one of my close friends said to me, but when you were younger, when you were a teenager, you always had a book in your hand and your nose stuck in a book. And I was like, where is this coming from? There's some kind of a demeanor thing about me. You know, I was a kind of a quiet kid and studious kid, and I had good grades, but I was never like a ravenous reader. If I fell into a book and I enjoyed it, then yes, but that has not happened that many times in my life at all. So that was a complete misconception of my character. As I said, it really takes a while for me to get into a book. Once I do get into a book, then it's hard for me to put it down, and that's to do with ADHD and procrastination and some other character traits that I'm sure you're aware of. Pop psychology is on trend right now, and we all know these things about ourselves and each other. But yeah, I had never been such an ardent reader. But then we had a chat, and she'd been a bookworm and I'd been a movie kid. I'd been like, no, give me a movie any day. And I always thought that that was going to be my career. I was going to make a big film, because I have a very visual brain. I do work as a photographer and, as I said, a videographer for shows and just in general as well. And I've had like photography residencies with magazines and things like that. So I do like to focus on detail and bring something special out in any given setting. So we had this chat, and weirdly enough, we were like, well, what's a piece of art that has left the most like intense, flabbergasting, you know, when you walk away and you're like, what did just happen? How is my life going to work after this? And weirdly enough, she chose a film and I chose a book, and we were like, oh, this is so interesting. Like we both realized we were having this shift in our relationship with different media, that I looked back on everything I'd experienced in my life, and I was like, yeah, it's those couple of books that just the feeling I remember them evoking in me is something I can't compare to anything. Having said that, there have been moments in theatre quite recently where, and it has to be a very raw play, a play that does it to you in a way that you don't see coming, so nothing too epic, where I have had that cathartic, not even cathartic, just a very uncomfortable inspiration / desperation evoking feeling where you can't just brush it off. It stays with you. And I'll maybe talk about this in another video. There's a playwright right now. I've seen 2 of her plays on stage in London in the past few years. Her name is Beth Steele, and she is incredible. She is a Chekhov of British theatre at the moment. Her 2 plays, The House of Shades, I saw it at Almeida Theatre, and her play Until the Stars Come Down, it was on at the National Theatre, and then it got a West End transfer, and I saw it in the West End. And it just, you don't even want to discuss it with your friends at the end, because there's nothing to say. It's done its job. You feel all the conflicting emotions and thoughts, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I think I want this year to be about exploring my relationship with the written word. I want to write more, I want to read more, and I want to talk about it a bit more, which also doesn't necessarily sit well with me or comfortably with me, because I'm a bit of an anxious speaker, so I fill silences with lots of mumbling and bumbling and rambling, and I don't like that in myself. I like people who are dignified and they only say something if they have something to say. So maybe this is an attempt to celebrate my flows of words that sometimes just happen, and some of them do make sense and some of them do not. So this was a lot of mumbling, but hopefully that gives you a rough idea of what I'm about, what I hope to do here on this channel. And knowing myself, I may deviate from it, and you may get like 3 different recipes of a lazy cook tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, that's that. Right, I'm going to drink my decaf coffee now. I'm then going to do a little bit of admin, then I'll go for a walk here if it doesn't rain. Maybe even if it does rain, I will still go for a walk. It's good to do that. Then I am going to finish a book. I'm not going to tell you what it is just in case I don't finish it, and then I'll be so embarrassed. It is amazing. When I finish a book, I like to give it to someone who I think will really, really enjoy it, or who will benefit from reading it. And this book, I just want to cut it in tear it in so many pieces and give it to so many people. But I'll talk more about it when I do talk about the book. So maybe the next video might be me chatting about that book. It might be something else. It might be telling you how I get on with my writing things. And maybe at some point I will link this account to an account on Substack where I will try and articulate these things and ideas a bit better in writing. So anyway, if you have stuck with me to this point, I don't know what's wrong with you, but thank you so much, and I hope to see you again. And yeah, this is basically, long story short, even shorter, the even longer story, slightly shorter. This is going to be kind of like a dumping ground for me to process my own thoughts and my own process as I explore it. The books, the words, what are you reading? Words, Hamlet, act something, scene something. Okay, I'll stop now. I hope you have an amazing day. Enjoy your coffee or your beverage of choice, and I'll see you very soon, hopefully.